So here's the sitch on the ATL box score today. Me and Steve get into Tigers' victory at Augusta on Sunday. Then we talk Atlanta Braves with the Braves losing one to the Diamondbacks but splitting the series against the Mets over the weekend. Then we end the show talking about the NBA playoffs with the Clippers coming back against the Warriors. This is Pro Style Wednesday. You're listening to Atlanta's newest sports podcast, the ATL Box Score. With starting a new podcast, people ask me all the time, Alex, where do you record your show at? Do you do it at your house? No, I don't do it at my house because of just a lot of different logistical factors. The place that I do it at is actually a place called Spaces, Midtown East. And Spaces is a co-working center where I get my show recorded and I get other work done. Co-working has been one of these new phenomenons in the private business sector that has popped up recently. And Spaces also has another brand called Regis, which is more of a professional brand. Spaces is more for creators like myself. But to tell you more about these special brands in the business world is Mr. Steve Choi.
Thanks, Alex. I appreciate those kind words. We absolutely love having you and ATL Box Score as part of our space. It's always great when we see you doing your work. But absolutely, Spaces and the Regis concept, we are both workplace providers here in the Atlanta area, but all around the world. We have over 250 Spaces locations worldwide, plus over 1,500 Regis locations. And what we're really here to do is just provide flexible options for any type of professional, whether you're an independent professional, creative, or if you're a large or small business. So we have several different types of options from small to large and memberships, part-time, full-time. So definitely come on out and check us out. Go ahead and look at the link on Alex's site and ask for Steve Choi. And if you ever come into one of our locations, let us know that Alex sent you or ATL Box Score, and we'll go ahead and set you up with a free 5-day test drive.
Yeah, you can't beat that 5-day test drive. In those 5 days, you will know if Spaces or Regis is the right brand for you. And Spaces is all over the place. They're a little bit more limited, but they're in the main areas of the city. The one we are is right in the heart of Midtown, near the Fox Theater. There's one at the Battery. There's going to be one opening up North Point Mall there. And there's also a location in Colony Square. So they are all over the metro area. At just about any major business building in the Atlanta area has a Regis in it. So just Google them. But Spaces and Regis and Steve Choi in particular is your place to do your business.
Many doubted we'd ever see it. But here it is. The return to glory.
Man, what a sight that was to see on Sunday. And I know that you're probably listening to this on a Thursday or maybe even a Friday or maybe even the weekend. But that was That was Something Else by Tiger Woods, and I don't know if it's probably going to be the best moment in golf. It definitely right now is the best, the highlights, the best thing to happen to Tiger Woods' career. I mean, it is the classic comeback story of a guy who fell from grace, and a guy who was on top of the world first of all, and then he fell from grace, and now he is back, and hopefully this isn't the last time, the end of the Tiger story. Hopefully he can still be competitive through this year, because a lot of people a couple of years ago thought that he was pretty much done. We talked yesterday. We talked the last time we were recording about the Masters, that, hey, you would like to see Tiger Woods win, especially if you grew up in the 90s watching just him play and everything. But it's more likely that you see one of these other guys like Rory McIlroy or Justin Day pull it out, who were the favorites going into the weekend. But Augusta is just one of those golf courses that it's like you never know who's gonna win, but at the same time you're not surprised. It's kind of like March Madness, honestly, with the college basketball national championship. You never know who's gonna win, but at sometimes, like when the big schools like Kentucky, North Carolina, Duke, when they pull it out, you're not surprised. And the same thing here with Tiger Woods. Like, you're not surprised.
You're not? You weren't surprised that Tiger won?
I mean, from a standpoint of that his game is supposed to be there,
Sure.
and from a standpoint that he has the competitiveness. He has the competitiveness. I'm tripping over those words.
Yeah.
Making up words.
I mean, so I agree, right? So I think what the one thing that the Masters has going for it that the other three majors don't is the fact that it's the same course year after year. So whereas with the Players Championships, the British Open, as well as the U.S. Open, they select different courses each year. So year over year, you're not automatically going to the same course to play. So it could be a course that's designed for you. It could not be. It all depends. With the Masters, you go to the same course. So I think where Tiger benefited was his experience of playing that course over and over and over again.
That seems to be like the thing that people think that's home field advantage. I could see why people think that.
Sure.
I really do think, I don't think it's the course itself. I think it's the composure. Because right now, the last couple of years with that golf course, I mean, you've had a lot of young guys who felt really confident going into Sunday, and then they would just melt down and implode on themselves.
Sure.
And another guy that still does that, and I'm really surprised, is Phil Mickelson.
Yeah.
Phil Mickelson's done that a couple of times at Augusta. I just think that it's like Tiger Woods just has that laser focus.
Okay.
And I just feel like it's more of his mental makeup than than the actual course itself. Now, don't get me wrong. I thought like one of his putts was impressive. I think it was either on 16 or 14 where he just like putted it up the ridge, and it just like kept on like that ridge. Then it just like sloped down to the hole.
Okay.
But and plus too, like honestly, I had a feeling going into, because it's one of those like touch and go subjects.
Okay.
That usually I can usually have a grasp for, and the reason why I say I'm not like totally surprised when it came down to the actual day. Yeah, if we were still talking about, like, if we were if it was Thursday, I probably wouldn't have. I would probably say Roy McIlroy, Justin Day, one of those guys. But what it came down to was the day of, and you had that big rainstorm coming through. You had that they had to play they had to play in the morning.
Gotcha.
So they could get the tournament over with, and so the rain wouldn't linger and everything like that. And in those moments, yeah, you especially with Tiger Woods being in the top 3, top 4.
Sure.
Now, if he was 10th or down on the leaderboard, you probably won't touch Tiger because Tiger really doesn't do that well when he's that low on the leaderboard going into Sunday. But since he's on top, and history's shown, once he's on top of that leaderboard going into the critical day of the tournament, there's a chance. There's a, I want to say 60% chance he's going to win.
Gotcha.
And the weather played a factor because it's Steve, most of those golfers had to look like, I don't want to be here.
Yeah.
Let's just get this over with.
Interesting. No, I mean, hey, it was amazing regardless because I don't know how many people was betting on Tiger to come back like this. And now he's relevant again, and people, I think he's favored to win the next major. So it's interesting how people come and go in sports.
Right.
Right. And a lot of it, sports journalism fuels it because they want a story, because this is a big story. If, who was the guy? If Brooks Koepka won, it's not that big of a story.
Right.
It's okay, cool. If Rory won, yeah, it would have been a good story.
I think from a national standpoint, from a sports story, this is an awesome story.
It's a wonderful story.
If it's Roy McIlroy, it's just a golf story.
Yeah. It's still a good story because he started off the year hot.
Right.
So it's so maybe this is his year to do some damage, right? But again, if it was some rando even if it was a Jordan Spieth, it would have been he's back, but there's no story like Tiger,
right?
And so with the ups and downs and the scrutiny that Tiger faces, regardless whether or not he's winning or not, it's huge. I think it's a great win for the sport of golf because now they've gotten that attention back on them. Everybody, like I told you on the last podcast, I only watch the majors if Tiger's in contention.
Yeah.
And I'm just not a sports viewer, so that's why. But I love the fact that if it's sort of like tennis, women's tennis, I won't pay that much attention unless Serena is in contention.
Right.
And that's just me. I mean, men's tennis is a little bit different, but for women's tennis, I have no skin in the game for any of those other players, and it's not as exciting.
If Rafa Nadal, or oh my God,
Novak Djokovic,
or one of those tennis guys, I think a lot of people are gonna watch, Andy Murray, even though Andy Murray's retired.
Well, he hasn't officially retired, but he's out.
He's out.
He just had surgery, so he's gonna see if he can make one more run at it.
Okay, I'm not a tennis guy, so this is
So the big three,
but you get
Rafa Nadal, Novak Djokovic, and Roger Federer. Exactly. If they make it to the final weekend, which is what we consider the semifinals, right? Then it's okay, all eyes on that.
Andy Murray was going to make a point that it's if he's like this,
right,
at Wimbledon,
right. That's
everyone's watching, hands down.
If Andy Murray comes back, I don't think his time frame is for him to be able to come back by then. But we're just throwing it out there. So Andy Murray, you're right, is the UK version of a Tiger Woods in respect to
in Wimbledon,
right? In Wimbledon, in respect that he has been injured and he's gone through some ups and downs. So yes, if next year Andy Murray comes back from his surgery, and because everybody's written him off. Like, in the Australian Open, he was hardly able to walk, let alone play. And so everybody's said, you know what, he's done. He almost retired. He was, in tears. If he comes back from the surgery and wins Wimbledon, that will be like equivalent to the Tiger Woods story. I still think Tiger Woods is an exceptional story because of all the tabloid and controversy that surrounding, like the joke was, when he hit that tree, a lot of things came out. So
a lot of women came
a
out.
lot. His career just went downhill from that one accident. So he's back up. What I do find interesting about the whole Tiger Woods story is how people have sort of forgiven him and have moved past those transgressions, and now they love him again. So I find it very interesting.
There's something about white America that like they think that he's a really nice guy.
Sure.
Which, I mean, I think he is for the most part. I mean,
I know nothing about Tiger Woods. I just think it's funny that people who were like going after him when at his lowest moments, right? Those people are now like, oh, we're celebrating Tiger Woods. And, that's another story for another day, but that's a very interesting shift. Like you kick the guy when he's down, but then when he's back on top, now it's time to jump on the bandwagon again. And that's the kind of like stuff about sports politics that I kind of like.
I think, too, it's the people, though, that I think two things happen with this. This is interesting that you brought this up. I think some of those people kind of go into the shadows and quiet down. Because those are probably the people that didn't like when he came out winning these majors as young as he was.
Of course.
So all those haters pretty much shut up when at the peak of his career.
Oh, wait, you mean when they died?
What's that?
You mean when they died off?
I guess so.
All those haters that hated him because he was so young probably ended up dying off by the time he was at the peak of his career.
True, but it's like at the same time, the people that probably Phil Mickelson guys, for example, couldn't say anything.
No, because he's winning. Because he's legit.
Right.
It's interesting. Like when again, not to get too like in depth into the whole like politics of it, but when Tiger first stepped on the scene, clearly he was the first African American or whatever you want to call it, Asian. I don't know what, but he was the first mixed race player to win, and not only to win, to dominate
and to show emotion.
Right. And so, people were already. It's like the whole Jackie Robinson thing, like. People don't know how to react to this because this used to be dominated by one set of people, and then now all of a sudden the doors open. So is it, what, do we attribute it to like this strength or his a different physical specimen, right? No, I mean, the guy, I don't know if you ever watched this. I mean, everybody's seen this by now, but like Tiger Woods was like on like the Johnny Carson show at 5 years old as a, phenom, like hitting golf trick shots.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is a kid who has been nothing but golf since he's probably an infant, right? So, does it surprise me? I mean, yeah, obviously he had to grow into his skills and he had to have some physical athleticism to him, but like this is a kid that has been trained since a very young age. And just like these tennis players, like Andre Agassi, I read his book. He was out there at 5 years old. Whether he liked it or not, his father was out there making him hit balls at 5 years old.
Dang.
And so, hey, I mean, if I got trained at something since I was 5 years old, which I did, eating. And so I'm awesome at it now.
You're also awesome at making it. But yeah, honestly, to separate you from the rest, like you have to pick up a golf club when you're this young.
Right.
I mean, that's what my grandfather told me.
Right.
That when I was that young, that it's like,
Never know.
Kids that are into the sport will start doing it. I mean, because first of all, it's not that hard. I mean, unless you have you have to have the motor skills, obviously, at that age, and those have to be developed. But
I mean, there's certain things that there still has to be the perfect storm, right? I mean, you could be in a wheelchair and play, and it's never going to happen. But what I'm saying is, Dave, my buddy Dave, his dad is he didn't start playing golf until like his late 20s, but in his 40s he was like really, really good. Mm-hmm. And he injured his back and all this other stuff, but he was definitely one of those club guys that was like a ringer. Like, anytime he's going in playing with the other guys, they got some money on it, he's winning the money because he's kicking butt. So, I think you got to match a couple things. You got to have, like you said, the composure. You got to have the intelligence to know what you're doing. And then, you got to have the athleticism to be able to strike that ball. But then it doesn't help that you've been doing it since you were 5 years old. I mean, it doesn't hurt that you were doing it since you were 5 years old, and you just have that down packed. It's second nature. It's like breathing to you.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you this, and I'm just kind of, when you brought that up about like the haters, and now it's like all those guys have been quiet, or the people that it's like were kind of anti-Tiger when all the stuff was going down.
Yes.
Because, I mean, honestly, too, it was one of those and I remember this like it was yesterday. I mean, it was one of those things that it was an interesting story. And it was it was a story that a lot of people had an opinion about. But for some reason, and I guess I can only speak on this, white America really likes Tiger Woods. I don't know why. Like, my grandfather really was a big Tiger fan.
Okay. And,
I mean, at the same time, like, he could have been a fan of Jack Nicklaus, but he really wasn't.
Really?
No, but he was a big, for some reason, he was a big Tiger fan.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And I feel like he's like he's this generation's O.J. Simpson before O.J. Simpson got tagged with.
Wow.
You know how O.J. Simpson was in the 80s, that it's like he was this likable guy who played football at USC and everything.
Right.
So that's just some food for thought there. I think we should probably end that.
No, I think it's great. I think I personally, I don't know Tiger Woods. I don't know his character. I can't say. I'm not going to speak to any of that. But just from this is how I enjoy sports today as an older guy now. I guess I'm on the back nine as opposed to the front nine of my life. I feel like triumphs like these comeback stories are applicable to everyday people, because in your life, when you just felt like, okay, the best years of my life are behind me now,
they're over,
right? You can look to somebody like this and gain inspiration and just realize, like, honestly, every day you wake up is an opportunity to make your life better than the day before. And so I think we all tend to forget those things because we get caught up in the narrative of, I'm never going to be better than I was at X, right? And then you watch and it looks like that's just the way of life, but it's not. Like, you can enjoy the best years of your life at 40, at 50, at 60, or whatever, right? And, I think that we just shouldn't give up. And I think that, to me, is what's so inspirational about the Tiger Woods story, is the fact that you're persistent and you don't give up and you believe in yourself, and who knows what can happen.
And gosh darn it, people like you.
Of course they do.
Of course they do. That was our inspiring quote of the day by Steve Choi. By the way, I'm Alex Berger, and Steve Choi was joining me in this segment. This is the ATL Box Score Podcast, and I'm being a bad host right now. That what I played for you at the beginning of the segment was actually a video that I found on YouTube from the Masters. I'm going to put the link to that video in the show description if you're interested in checking that out. But this is our Pro Style Thursday. We didn't have recapping the weekend, so we're planning a little bit of catch-up here at the ATL Box Score. But glad you can join us today if you're on the road or whatever you or however you listen to podcasts. I'm glad that you decided to listen to us today. And by the way, follow us on social media. We're on Insta, Twitter, Facebook, and by the way, be sure to hit that like button and comment in the comment section. Comment in the comment section, especially about Tiger Woods winning the Augusta National. Well, up next, we're going to talk a little Braves baseball. Before we get into some Atlanta Braves talk, and by the way, hope you're listening, Brandon Whitney. Just got to hold on just 1 second, though. Because at the beginning of the show, I had the advertisement for Spaces and Regis. But right now at Spaces in particular, they have a great deal going on right now. If you buy a personal office, dedicated desk there, that you get a 15% discount on a 12-month agreement there. So you got a great deal going on. Just use promo code Alex when you come in into. Well, actually, I know we're all about promo codes and stuff, but let me go a little bit old school. Tell them that Alex sent you, and they'll definitely take care of you at Spaces. So got a great deal going on right there. But now we're going to get into some talking some Atlanta Braves, and it's right now. I feel like the Braves are kind of on a roller coaster. That they won the series against the Rockies. The third game was postponed. They split the series against the Mets over this weekend. Then on Tuesday, they lost to the Diamondbacks. And New York was a critical series. Unfortunately, they didn't get a third win, but they got a second win out of it. And the Braves right now, the problem isn't offense and getting on base or getting homers in. It's just what we thought was going to go on. Once you go, I mean, they're pitching from a starting standpoint is starting to get there. It's just when you go into the bullpen is where you have some problems. Because offensively, like, they are there offensively. I mean, they've hit this past year, they've hit 23 homers, 17 of them have been at home. So, very impressive from an offensive standpoint that it seems like any one of those, any of those guys in the starting lineup, are going to be able to hit homers. It's just the pitching when you go deep into the bullpen that really hurts you.
Absolutely. I mean, the good news is they still have some room for improvement. If I might make a suggestion, Craig Kimbrel's still out there. If you guys can scrounge up some money, you might want to go ahead and get that guy back in the rotation. Or
Craig Kimbrel's still floating out.
He's still a free agent.
Wow. He's like Tom Hanks right now, just like in Castaway.
Right.
Just floating on
just
that.
Chilling.
Yeah, just floating on that raft. That's crazy, though.
It is crazy. It kind of sucks for him, but either way, that would help bolster their relief pitching. So I don't know. I mean, They'll get better. I mean, I don't think anybody's expecting them to win 90 games this season.
Really?
Maybe.
I feel offensively, they are there to get back into the postseason.
Sure.
It's just that because what happened last night against the Diamondbacks, it was getting their relievers in.
Gotcha.
And then once you got like a guy like Luke Johnson, I mean, the thing about their relievers too, they're just so young. Like they look like deer in the headlights out there. And then they give up 2 runs or they give up a homer. I mean, they gave up because last night the Braves had the lead.
Gotcha.
It was at one point it was like 5-4 going into the 6th inning.
Okay.
And then slowly the Diamondbacks they just got into it. I mean, they had in the 3rd, it was 5-1.
Right.
And Diamondbacks just came back. Kind of just rhymes there. And you got guys like you guys got a guy like Luke Johnson who just looked like deer in the headlights out there.
Yeah.
And because you have these like young moments, I feel like, where these guys kind of look like I'm here and I made it and everything like that. I'm just trying to get the speed of the game.
Right.
But
they'll be fine.
Yeah, they'll be fine. I feel like with our line, because like all those guys that are in the lineup for the Braves, all of them can hit a home run. It's just not. Because usually, what it would be like, it would be guys that you would have Freddie Freeman, Dansby Swanson, and a couple other guys that could possibly get like on base, but it's like no.
Right.
Now you have Albies, you have Acuna, you have Josh Donaldson, you have Nick Markakis. All guys that can hit a home run, and their offense just opens up so much.
Right.
It's just the pitching that lost last night's game.
Right.
Getting your relievers in, and then the Diamondbacks, you give up 2 home runs to the Diamondbacks, and they just took control after that. So yeah, it seems like right now Kimbrel's just holding out for the best deal possible, and I don't know if the Braves could actually pony up the money to get him.
Right.
There would have to be some sort of severe like negotiating going on. I would love to have Craig Kimbrel back.
Sure. It's going to cost a pretty penny.
It is. Especially too because his value has come up, and I don't know if the Braves are in a position where they can do that.
It depends on what they're trying to do,
Right.
A lot of these teams will go out and spend that money because they feel like their window of opportunity is starting to diminish. I don't know that the Braves feel that way. I feel like they feel like they have a young team and they're starting to their run is just now beginning, right? And they may feel like, should we spend all that money and go get that one, superstar player? and then now we're sort of handcuffed for the remaining, seasons or the following seasons, or do they want to go ahead and see what they can do and let the chips fall where they may?
Yeah. Now it's kind of like turned their ugly head, but man, it's fun to watch though.
Sure,
it's fun to watch that. It's like it seems like every time someone comes up to the plate, that the pressure is off Freddie Freeman now, because it felt like for years, from an offensive standpoint, like they had decent pitching. It was just their offense. It was just hard to get going back when they were in this rebuilding phase.
Gotcha.
But now that they have, there has to be some relief from Freddie Freeman that he's not the only guy when he has to come up to the plate to perform.
Right.
That you've had other guys like Nick Markakis hit a home run.
Sure. Or
you also have pitchers have to go through Ronald Acuna and Albies, who both got paid like in back-to-back weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like this Braves team can be a 90-win team. They're just gonna have to figure out their bullpen issues. If they can figure out their bullpen issues, because man, you have the offense to get into the postseason.
So, I agree.
All right. So yeah, that was our Braves talk.
No more players and players now that the season started.
We need to figure out like a new like catchphrase type of thing for this segment. Just talk.
When are we going to a game, buddy?
I don't know.
We gotta pick a game to go to, and we could do like a ghost podcast from there. Like just go. We can both call in to the show and have Dave run the show from the from headquarters. Yeah, why not? We'll just have our headsets in and we could be sitting there talking about the game. I think that would be awesome. That's what you call guerrilla podcasting, people.
Guerrilla podcasting?
Yeah, you can't be out there with the microphones and whatnot. So instead, we'll just both call into the show and we can go ahead and broadcast from the game. Wouldn't that be sick?
That would be sick.
Anyway, coming soon.
You got my head spinning now. I'm just like, technically, how can we figure all that out? But I got you, buddy. So yeah, you always come up with the good ideas on the fly. You know that.
Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it.
No problem. So yeah, that was our Braves talk. Now we're just gonna get into some NBA playoffs. So your Dubs the other night.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, series is tied 2-2 with the Clippers.
1-1.
1-1. My bad. I don't know why I said 2-2.
Yeah, they got us. I think it was
It was game 2. That's
game 2. We were up by 31 points. We were up by 16 to begin the fourth quarter.
Got comfortable.
Sometimes when you're playing and you have nothing to lose, let me just tell you, I watched that game, and Lou Williams was knocking down shot after shot after shot. So, as well as I can't remember his first name, but Harrell. Those guys were making shots let's put it this way. In the second half, they shot 67% from the field.
Dang.
Now, that's unsustainable. If you can do that, if they could do that 4 more times throughout the whole entire series or 3 more times the whole series, then they got them. But the fact that you were down 31 points and it took basically a perfect second half for you to come back and win it, I mean, again, kudos to them. There's concern because Boogie's out.
Are you fearful, though, of this series?
No, not at all.
Do you think it's going to come down to 7 games?
No.
4? Oh no, it's on 4 right now.
I think it could be 6.
6.
Yeah, I mean it remains to be seen what the true impact of that game. The real loss of that game is not the game itself; was the loss of DeMarcus Cousins. So now I don't think it's a insurmountable loss because he only played a portion of the season and he wasn't at full strength anyway. But it dulls their edge a little bit. And it just makes other guys have to step a little bit harder. They did get on Andrew Bogut back. Andrew Bogut is like a relic, He's not going to be, he's one ankle sprain away from ending his career. He's so knock on wood. Let's hope that he doesn't suffer. But that's the risk. Every time you put Bogut out there, that you run the risk of. He could injure himself and not be available for the remainder of the series. But again, they've won the championship with lesser at that position. They've had, Zaza Pachulia and what's the name? McGee. Yeah, he's with the Lakers now. What's his name? Jason McGee? I can't remember his first name.
That sounds familiar.
The one that Shaq was always making fun of during Shaqtin' the Fool.
What is Shaqtin' the Fool?
Shaqtin' the Fool. You never seen Shaqtin' the Fool?
No. Oh, is it a thing on TNT?
Yeah, where Shaq highlights dumb plays that NBA players make, but he JaVale McGee is what his name is. He was really, going hard on JaVale McGee.
Mm-hmm. I've met, I'm kind of sounding amateurish right now, but I've met, what's the guy that hosts that show?
Yeah. Shaqtin' the Fool?
Not Shaqtin' the Fool, but.
Oh, you're talking about the TNT.
The TNT.
Yeah, halftime.
Brown.
Ernie.
Ernie Johnson.
Ernie Johnson. Yeah.
I met Ernie Johnson before. I shook his hand.
Okay, cool.
I shook Ernie. Ernie Johnson's actually a pretty cool guy.
He seems like he's pretty cool.
But it seemed like he was, because I went to an FCA breakfast that the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl was doing.
Sure.
Ernie Johnson was there. Got to shake his hand.
That's sweet, man.
Yeah. He seemed a little bit overwhelmed in the moment. You know what I mean?
He seemed overwhelmed?
He seemed a little bit overwhelmed in the moment.
That's funny.
I mean, that's yeah. I mean, he wasn't a jerk or anything like that.
Right.
He seems like a nice guy for doing that, speaking event.
Right.
In front of a room of chaplains. So
nice.
So yeah, it was cool. Got to.
Good old Ernie.
Ernie Johnson, yeah, I like him. I mean, his son has some sort of thing going on where. He has to take special
needs.
Yeah. But anyways, so you think you're gonna close that out in 6?
I think we're gonna do it in 5, but I wouldn't be surprised if it goes 6.
So if you put on your fan glasses,
right,
or shades.
My stunner shades.
Okay, so your fan stunner your fan stunner shades says 5 games. You take those off.
Yeah.
And your logic says
because
6.
Because can they win one at home? Absolutely. So yeah, I mean, then they've already got one, and so they win one more. Then now you're 6. I anticipate the Warriors step up. I think this is a slap in the face. What I'm hoping, the response I'm hoping for the Warriors is, okay, let's be honest. These guys have been into the finals for the last 4 seasons in a row?
Right.
Okay. So these guys are bored during the regular season. It's like me playing NBA 2K. I'm just man, I'm just playing to score points and get to the postseason, but I can't skip ahead.
Did your dude get 70 points today?
My dude got 83 points.
He got 83 points
to end the season.
What's his name?
S.J. Choi, buddy.
S.J. Choi.
S.J. Choi with the Pistons. So what I'm saying is these guys are bored. And using the word bored is extreme, but just think about it. It's like you've been to the finals the last 4 years straight. You won 3 out of 4. It's not like you're not excited to win another one, but you want to cut to the chase. You would just want to go and get to the playoffs and go hard. But there's a long season ahead of that, and it's 82 games. So throughout the season, did I see them take their foot off the pedal? Did I see them be lackadaisical? Absolutely. Was I ever worried? No, not really. And then so now here we are. The first game they took care of business. The second game they were taking care of business. I mean, I watched that first half, and that first half they were just like. It was splash after splash. They were like killing the Clippers.
Right.
Clippers couldn't do anything. Okay. And so then they came back and they won the second half by playing flawlessly. You know what I mean? Like I would be more concerned if the Clippers, they were playing okay and came back and like they were just shooting, they still shot, maybe 52%. And they came back because it was all the Warriors just, missing shots and just being, bad. That's not really what it was. It was them making shot after shot after shot. And when you're making those shots, at the end of the day, you're going to come back. So what I'm hoping, the response that I'm hoping for the Warriors is to be like, okay, so Boogie's down. And now everybody's laughing at us because they're like, damn, that was the biggest comeback in NBA history.
That was the biggest comeback in NBA history.
Biggest in playoff history. And so you guys let them come back. And so now everybody's looking. So like, I don't know if you heard, the Nuggets came back from a large deficit last night to beat the Spurs. So the Spurs were about to go up 2-0, 2-0. And the Nuggets in the fourth quarter came back and beat the Spurs.
It seems like there's a lot of series right now in the playoffs that are split.
Right. So, like, the NBA now is, like, waves, people scoring waves. But my point is, Mike Malone, the coach of the Nuggets, had said after the game that, we took inspiration from the Clippers being the Warriors. Gosh. And so, therefore, we knew we could do it too. Okay? So, whatever that is, okay, he said that. So if I'm the Warriors, I'm like, okay, so maybe you might want to take inspiration from this when we go out there and beat them by 50 points. So get inspired by that, because that's what
he probably took that into the locker room. He was probably, we're in this game now.
Yeah, guys, we're number 2 seed. And
we can do what the Clippers did the other night.
the thing about the Clippers, what's amazing about the Clippers is they're the 8th seed.
It's not Blake's fault.
Right. They're the 8th seed. The Nuggets are the number 2 seed and was competing with the Warriors to be the number 1 seed at with only like a few games left in the season. So it's disappointing that the Nuggets found themselves in a position where they were down in the first place. Remember, the Warriors haven't been down 31 points yet. So holler at me when the Warriors get blown out by 31, and then we might want to talk about panicking.
I think it's really funny how, well, first of all, I have a question of a thought at the same time. I think it's funny how, like, in the NBA world, that the NBA, for some reason, outside of, like, the fan base, because it's like with the Warriors, you either like them or you hate them.
Right.
And they have a lot more haters outside of their fan base. Like, I actually like the Warriors because they play as a team.
Thank you.
I like the Spurs because they play as a team.
Right.
And then it's like these teams that play as a team and win championships like a team, and then it's like from the NBA community, everyone hates on them.
Yeah.
Because it's not Team LeBron or right. Some sort of player. Mm-hmm. I'm not an NBA guy, and I don't profess to be an NBA guy.
Right.
But that's just my take. Who do you think is going to carry the team? Like, I'm not talking about just from like play on the court. I'm more talking about like leadership and everything. Is it going to be KD?
Steph is the heart of the team, and he'll always be the heart of that team. And what's great is like you've got different people for different things. So like Clay is a silent assassin, right? Clay is the guy that's just all about his business. Klay Thompson, he's gonna go out there and do his thing. You got Draymond, who is like the he's the guy that holds the whip. He's like, he's gonna call you out. He's gonna be up in your face. He's gonna challenge you. But people look to Steph for leadership, composure, and he's the heart. KD, I know I'm gonna get a lot of backlash for this. KD is basically a rental because KD has his own goals and his own motives. He wasn't organic.
I kind of see the same thing too.
Yeah, he wasn't organically part of the Warriors, and the Warriors picked him up. I would have hoped that. I think what I find disappointing about KD is this. I think he's a good guy, and I think he has a lot of scars from being like. I think he's a little bit too sensitive. Let's put it that way. And
dang.
And I think what happened is, he has now this sort of me against the world mentality. Right. And so it sucks because he's super good, and I would have hoped that him being in the Bay, because it's not even just about the team, like how the players on the team, the Warriors as an organization, from what I understand, is a really top-notch organization that treats their players well. The Bay Area, as you know, while it is as expensive as all get out, it is a place that they do treat their teams well. Like they're not like the 6th Philadelphia booing their team that's in the playoffs. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You're never gonna get that from the Bay Area, and so I know they've all embraced KD and all that stuff. So I would hope KD would embrace the Bay Area and as a new home. I don't feel that just by the things that he says and he does. It feels like, again, he's on loan. So as soon as he's done, he'll probably go sign somewhere else. I think it'd be a mistake, but KD's got other demons that he has to deal with.
So pretty much he's like a timeshare that you're trying to get rid of.
Well, I don't think it's not that, because I don't think that the Warriors want to get rid of him, but I think they understand the reality is that it's like this. It's like.
So you think he's going to leave on his own terms?
Oh, absolutely. This is what I think KD's like. KD is like that buddy you have that has that cool apartment in the city, and he's going to be gone for like 2 weeks, and he's going to let you stay there, and he's okay with you bringing whoever you want and having parties at the place so that way you look cool. And so for 2 weeks of your life, you're like, yeah, I live in this cool penthouse that, overlooks the city. And everybody's like, yo, can I come over? You're like, cool, yeah. And then you're popping bottles and, other things happen. And you're like partying. And then all of a sudden your buddy comes back and now you got to go home.
Yeah. I always felt like the team that the Warriors had could win the finals.
Yes.
But I felt like having Kevin Durant on the team
took him over the top.
For
sure.
Well, I just felt like he was an insurance piece.
Yeah.
That in case like things got bad.
Well, it became total domination right there.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah, you're right. The team that the Warriors took, and they won their first finals, and they should have won their second finals with. Definitely, if that stayed intact. Harrison Barnes, he's just too inconsistent. So they needed to get somebody to replace Harrison Barnes.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of the Bulls in the 90s. Because having Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, and Dennis Rodman.
Right.
Like, you didn't need, you could take Dennis Rodman or Scottie Pippen out of the equation.
Right.
And the Bulls would probably have the same productivity.
I agree.
It's just that it's like you wanted both Dennis Rodman and Scottie Pippen on the floor just as insurance.
Sure.
It's kind of like Georgia and Alabama. They don't need like all these running backs in the backfield.
Right.
That they just have to have 2 solid running backs to carry the load.
Makes sense.
But it's good insurance piece to have like 3 or 4 back rotation.
That makes total sense to me, buddy.
Yeah. Are there any other playoff matchups? Because I know Boston plays the Pacers. That seems like an interesting matchup. Celtics playing not Celtics. Spurs playing the Nuggets. That also seems like that's going to be an interesting matchup in this first round.
Yeah. So the Spurs and Nuggets, again, that we just talked about, where the Spurs were 1 quarter away from being up 2-0 in that series and not even playing at home yet, and then we're going to go back home and play 2 more games. So they were about to find themselves in a really solid position to win that, to upset the Nuggets. I still feel like the Nuggets, to me, this is how I feel about the Nuggets. They're that young team they're like the Braves last year.
Yeah.
So they were like, no one thought at the beginning of the season, no one was talking about the Nuggets.
No.
Not like preseason. No one was talking about the Nuggets.
It was going to be Golden State and the Lakers.
And the Rockets.
And the Rockets, yeah. I always forget about the Rockets.
So no one was talking about the Nuggets whatsoever. I talked about the Nuggets. I don't know if you guys want to listen to episode, I don't even think it's part of this podcast.
13, 14, 15.
Whatever. I definitely talked about the Nuggets. But anyways, nobody talked about the Nuggets. And so for them to be as good as they are this year is sort of a surprise. Kind of like how the Milwaukee Bucks are.
Right.
No one really, I don't think anybody thought the Milwaukee Bucks was, everybody was talking about Boston or Philly, but nobody was talking about Milwaukee, okay? So here they are. I think they played above their talent level for most of the season, and so they got a really good position. I still think they're a solid team, but when you go up against somebody with a coach like Popovich, you're going to have to bring your A game every single night.
Oh, yeah.
And so can they bring their A game every single night? Yeah, I think they could, but I don't feel like – I feel like they're more evenly matched because they're not ready for prime time yet. Let's put it that way.
You know, Popovich was in the Army.
Nice.
Did you know that?
I can imagine.
He seems like, he's like pretty much like the Nick Saban of the NBA.
Who was the other matchup that you were talking about?
The other matchup, the Celtics versus the Pacers.
Oh, yeah. I don't see the Pacers doing anything. Now, Philly versus Brooklyn. Philly came back. They got slapped hard, and they got tied up. It was tied up in the second half of game 2, and then Philly went on that huge streak and kicked butt. Can they maintain or sustain that level of play? They should. On paper, it should be a no-brainer. It should be all Philly. But don't sleep on Brooklyn. They look like they might do something.
Okay. Me personally, I just kind of saw that, and I'm just like,
I'm hoping. I'm a little disappointed in. So tonight's, I want to see what Utah does versus the Rockets tonight, because Utah coming into the playoffs, they have at one point like 9-game winning streak towards the end of the season, and so if they don't. It's going to be disappointing if they get swept, just because I thought that out of all the teams that made the playoffs outside of the Rockets,
right,
Nuggets and Warriors, I thought that Utah would be like the most dangerous. They're like that sleeper team that you don't want to play because you're going to have to work hard. But given the fact that Houston really manhandled them in game 1, I was super disappointed in that.
Super disappointed.
Yeah, and so like Dave is like, don't you want the Warriors to earn it? Because whoever wins would play the winner of the Clippers and Warriors, which obviously I'm rooting for the Warriors. Do I want to see a Warriors versus Rockets round 2? The Warriors fan in me doesn't want to see that because I know that's the biggest challenge. But then also, I kind of want to see them go at it one more time, and I want the Warriors to stomp them out so that way there's no question to who's the better team.
Do you mind if I spill some haterade all over this table?
Go for it.
I don't think you're going to mind this one at all. The most refreshing thing, and maybe I'm not saying this because Mike's not on here, but the most refreshing thing about this playoff series, or this round one,
Yeah.
or the playoffs in general this year,
Yeah.
is that LeBron James is not into it. Haterade all over this table
but
right
what's
here.
interesting is I think you're right, and no one's really even missing him.
No.
I mean, I'm certainly not.
The dude the dude just does too much.
The thing about it is that whole Lakers implosion that just took place at the end of the season is really why I would never, if I was a GM, I wouldn't want LeBron James on my team, because he impacts. You can look at it both ways, positively or negatively. There is a potential for him to poison a team, just by the fact that everybody is sitting there kissing his butt. Right? So you got Magic Johnson, who is like, yeah, I'm done. Right? And then you're going to get rid of Luke Walton, who, I don't know how good he could have been with a solid team, but he he helped coach the Warriors to one of the longest winning streaks in NBA history.
I think it's interesting, though, that Magic Johnson, when he tries to give a public reason why he wanted to get out of the Lakers organization, he went to the easy scapegoat. He blamed it on the league. Because he talked about the league has so many limitations, which I bet they do, but he probably doesn't want to say. It's I don't want to be a part of an organization with LeBron James trying to take control of everything and trying to tell me how to do my job.
Right.
Because that's the type of guy he is.
Exactly.
I mean, you could say, oh, he just wants to win and everything like that. Well, that's why he does it. It's no. It's know your role. Michael Jordan knew his role.
That's right. I mean, I don't want to get into too much of the politics of LeBron and him being outspoken. All this and that is one thing. We're just having fun here. Bob. What I will say is this: I don't miss the fact that LeBron's not in the playoffs.
I don't either.
Earn it.
Yeah.
So go out there and use your influence to go ahead and build your team. This is the silly thing about it, dude. It's not everybody's supposed to be a player GM.
No.
While we appreciate your input, buddy, like you said, know your role. You're out there to go out and win games. And does that mean you don't have a voice? No, that doesn't mean that. But let your GM be a GM.
If you want to be a GM, just stop playing.
Right.
And I'm sure.
Or go public with it.
Right.
Here's my thing that I don't like. So forget all the closed doors conversations. Then if I'm LeBron and I'm yeah, what I say matters, then say it out into the public. Be okay, here's what I want to trade. I want to trade these three young guys, Lonzo Ball, JaVale McGee, and blah, 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 right? I want to trade these three guys. That way, those guys are looking you on the court when you're playing, and we're like, oh, you want to trade me, man? And you have that man-to-man conversation. Yeah, man, because you guys aren't stepping up. I don't think I bet you Kobe would say that. I bet you Kobe wouldn't have a problem looking someone dead in the eye and saying, yo, you're garbage. We're about to get rid of your butt.
Right. Michael Jordan would just say, just pass me the ball.
Right.
Just get me the ball.
It doesn't matter who's on my team.
Just get me the ball.
Yeah, I don't think, and it's true. When Jordan played, I don't remember him politicking to try to get players. Do you?
Right. I mean, and it's he was teammates with, no offense or anything like that. I think he's a great guy, but he was teammates with Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
I mean, you knew that Steve Kerr wasn't going to be one of these role players.
That's right.
You know what I mean? And it's
That's right.
And it's he still had to get along with guys.
He absolutely did.
So that's Like Forrest Gump said, that's all I have to say about that. Well, this is fun, buddy, talking about NBA, talking about the playoffs. And this wasn't really a detailed conversation getting into the skinny of the playoffs. But, yeah, this Golden State losing how they did the other night, I felt like we just need to talk about it. Just air it out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You feel better?
I don't feel – look, when I was going into that so obviously we're on the East Coast, so watching Warriors games sucks for me because they just end up way late. But I had took a long nap that day, and I was preparing for it. So when we're up like 20-22, and man, let me tell you, the first half ended with Steph Curry hitting the last second three. So I was like, we are good to go. I went and took my shower. I was like, I'm ready to go. Tell me when to go. So I was like ready to call it a night. And then
I had those early morning meetings.
Right, but then I get out and I'm watching, and all of a sudden the score gets cut down to like 18-16. I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And so then it continues, and then like I said, it got down to like 10 points, and I was like, all right, you guys better do something right now. And I'm gonna tell you right now, if you watch that game, Lou Williams was on fire, man. Like there was like no shot he couldn't make. And then Harrell was on fire too. So what can I do?
All hell broke loose. Yeah, that's what I hate about these like late night games, trying to figure out logistics of when should I get ready for bed.
Right.
Or when should I prepare to get ready for bed and watching the game. But I'm pretty sure a lot of guys are in that, or a lot of people are in that same boat. Well, thanks for talking NBA playoffs with me, buddy. It's always fun as always.
Hey, I appreciate it.
With some good news that we are going to have on Football Friday. We're going to have a new special guest. We're going to have Mr. Rob Say, who is a photographer that covers all the Georgia games. He's a photographer also for the Atlanta Touchdown Club. He was at Augusta National. I mean, this guy is all over the state of Georgia when it comes to sports and sporting events, and he's a Georgia alumni and has a lot of connections with the Georgia program. So if you're a Georgia fan, definitely tune in to listen to that, because we're talking all things Georgia football leading up to G-Day. I think we might have to sprinkle in a little bit of tech to split the coverage a little bit, because I think their spring game is around the corner too. But we have Rob Say coming on the ATL box score on Football Friday, which will be our next podcast. So very excited to have him on to talk about Georgia football, because this guy has been around the Georgia program and has followed the Georgia program for a long time. So very excited. We're very excited here at the ATL Box Score to have Rob Say come on the podcast on Friday. So stay tuned for that. And just again, want to thank Steve Choi for coming in at the last minute. And Steve is always a trooper. I mean, I felt like he was just on fire. He was like his boy Steph Curry, just hitting threes from half court. I mean, Steve is awesome. Definitely appreciate him coming on, and that way I don't have to talk to this wall that's right in front of me. So definitely appreciate it. Always a fun time having Steve on the show. Now, we need your help, guys. Especially if you're in front of a computer screen or you have your phone out. If you could like, subscribe, and comment. If you feel like we've earned a like or we've earned a subscription from you, or you just want to comment on what we're talking about, we invite you right now to comment in the comment section, and definitely we need your help, because let's just face it, guys. You don't have to listen to me talk. You could listen to some other podcast. I mean, this is a great world we live in. Like, majority of our media right now that we can access through the internet, like, we can just we can just listen or watch, or we can choose not to. And you guys chose to listen to me today, so I'm very honored. And it's kind of like with internet creators, we have to earn your views and listens. So definitely grateful for you guys that you have gone on faith and you've listened to this podcast today. And I definitely had fun putting it together. Hopefully you had fun hanging out with us. Like, that's what we that's what we want to do on this show, is just have just a fun time where we just hang out with each other and talk about sports. And hopefully I can get you through traffic. I mean, or whatever you're doing that requires you can just shut off your brain. And you might be even listening at work, so hopefully we got you through the workday. That now that you're listening to this part, hopefully you can punch the clock soon. So thank you guys for listening. I know you don't have to listen, but I hope that hopefully we're an inviting place where you want to listen, you want to hang out with us, you want to hear about sports, and we're here to hang out and just to talk about sports. I mean, we're living the life here at ATL Box Score. So thank you guys for listening. Again, like, subscribe, comment. We are on social media, so we are on everything's ATL Box Score. We're on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. So check us out. We should be on Alignable. But yeah, thanks for checking us out, and we'll be hearing from you guys, hopefully in the comment section, and we'll definitely be hearing from you guys in the next podcast. We're gonna have Rob say, and that should be a fun conversation. Well, with that, I have to check something to see where we're at. Yep, we're at 48, so this is 49. Friday, oh my gosh, Friday's gonna be 50. So, with that being said, episode 49 is out.